Good morning, everyone. This on?
Done.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Gary Smith, and I am the interim fire chief here in Quincy. Today is a proud day, not only for our fire department, but for our city as a whole. Today's announcement will mark an important milestone in our ongoing commitment to firefighter health and safety. I would like to begin by recognizing those joining us today.
Boston.
We're honored to have our mayor, Thomas Cope, Quincy Firefighters Local 792 President Tom Bowes. We have the International Association of Firefighters District Vice President Jay Colbert, and our gear manufacturing partners of John Sawyer from Firedex, Brian Hargis from Milliken, and Danielle Elliott from Industrial Protection Services. I would also like to recognize Professor Graham Peasley from the University of Notre Dame, who was instrumental in leading our science and testing throughout his process, but unfortunately could not be here today. I also want to recognize Counselor at Large Ian Mahoney, Counselor at Large Noel DeBona, Ward 1 Counselor David Jacobs, Ward 2 Counselor Richard Ash, Ward 3 Counselor Walter Hubley, and Ward 4 Counselor Virginia Ryan. Thank you all for being here. Collectively, the commitment to firefighter safety from all the way here has made today's milestone a reality. You know, firefighters have always accepted the risks that come with this profession and understand all the dangers inherent within the fire service. But we've come to learn that some of the greatest dangers firefighters face are the ones that we don't see at all. As occupational cancer remains the leading cause of firefighter line of duty deaths across our nation at an alarming rate of 80%, our understanding of long-term exposure and harmful chemicals have grown, and so must our responsibility to reduce these exposures. That responsibility extends beyond the fire ground. It includes the equipment we wear and the investments we make to protect the men and women who protect us and our community. So today represents a significant step in our effort to protect our firefighters. And I am truly pleased to announce that every member of our department is being issued 2 sets of structural non-PFAS personal protective equipment manufactured by Firedex in Milliken fabric. In addition, each firefighter will also receive 1 set of non-PFAS lightweight personal protective equipment for non-fire incidents. The benefit of having 2 sets of structural gear allows for proper decontamination and cleaning processes to be followed without putting our firefighters back in hazardous gear. In total, our city has invested in 810 sets of non-PFAS personal protective equipment to ensure the health and wellness to all of our firefighters. Our new non-PFAS gear provides the best protection available to our firefighters from fire and all the related dangers and hazards they face. It's more than simply replacing the equipment. It reflects our commitment to using the best available technology to safeguard the long-term health of every single firefighter who serves our great city. We've done our research, we've conducted our due diligence, and both Firedex and Milliken provide that to us. They've become an integral part of our team. Most importantly, they've earned our trust, and our relationship with them will only strengthen in our efforts to keep our firefighters healthy and safe. It also means that as a city, we're doing everything within our power to help ensure our firefighters enjoy long, healthy lives in retirement. They deserve it, their families deserve it, and we as a community expect nothing less. And I must say, as fire chief, watching our members turn in their old gear for this new non-PFAS gear has been incredibly rewarding. because I know how much of a difference our team is making to our firefighters, not just for today, but for years to come. This accomplishment would not have been possible without the collaboration between all who stand before you this morning, our local elected officials, and from our residents who showed overwhelming support to us throughout this entire process. Working together, we've demonstrated that firefighter health and safety will always remain a top priority here in Quincy. I would like to take a moment to extend a sincere thank you to our Operations Deputy Chief, Kevin O'Connor, and our training division, led by Captain Doug Trude, for the tremendous support they've given to our IPS team during the distribution of our new gear. I'd also like to thank Police Chief Mark Kennedy and his officers, and Larry Prendeville and members of the Department of Public Works for the logistical support they provided to us upon receiving and storing our new and old gear. So thank you again for joining us today in support of the Quincy Fire Department. We're proud that Quincy has chosen to lead by example, and will continue to build a better, safer, healthier future for the firefighters who serve our community. Continuous support from leadership makes initiatives like this possible. We are very fortunate to have this support in our city, and that's why it is my honor now to introduce you to our Mayor, Thomas Coates.
Thank you, Chief, and good morning, everybody. And so many other initiatives over the last several months with our fire departments. Nice to see Chief O'Connell out there. I worked with a number of years ago. Always a pleasure, Chief. Next month would be a year ago that we had a press conference at the Great Hall, the City Council Chambers, where we had learned through the work of our local 792, in particular Tom Bowes, the research they did on the equipment that the men wear, the fire gear, the bunker gear. And it was astonishing to find out that that gear had very high contaminants of PFAS in that gear. And when you think about that, right, I remember at the time having that discussion with Ed O'Kelly at the International, certainly Tommy and Richie McKinnon and so many others. You're putting gear on each and every day that's supposed to protect you. It's not supposed to make you sick. So that was one of the most astonishing things that I've experienced being in this position, is we were depending on, and we were told that the equipment we were buying was PFAS free. As we've learned, it was not. I can't help this morning but think of two buddies of mine, Neil Leonard, who we buried just a couple months back at the Pine Hill, a great firefighter, led a fire in North Quincy, who grew up in North Quincy, about a block from the firehouse that he worked out of. And I think of Johnny Cristiani, who continues to battle cancer, and so many others who have lost to cancer, and many who are battling cancer today. The situations we ask a fireman to go into are dangerous enough. Very challenging. When that bell rings and they go, they put it all on the line on behalf of the people of the city. So it's astonishing to me what went on. But we're on the right road now, and I think we're going to become a national model. Appreciate the work of Milliken and Fire Decks and all those folks that work with us, with the chief, his team, as well as the union and the team there to get this right. I'm truly grateful to the members of the City Council who supported this appropriation. It was a major appropriation, but it was the right decision, and I really appreciate the City Council. And by the way, happy birthday to our Council President, Ann Mahoney, today. I won't ask the number, Ann. Just a happy birthday. It truly is a collaboration, as the Chief mentioned. We're in this together. And it's incumbent upon us, the elected officials, to provide the best in gear, in training, in apparatus, and in the firehouses that these men and women work out of. That's the least we can do. And I know through this whole process, the residents of the city support these efforts. They support the firefighters, and we're grateful for that. So Tommy, I want to give a special shout out to you, Tommy Bowes. He worked relentlessly on this. He just persevered and persevered, wouldn't take no, email after email, question after question. Tommy, your work will go down, I think, historically in the fire service on protecting not only men and women of 792, but firefighters across the state and across the country. So today is a great day. We're moving forward in the right direction. We've got an outstanding fire department. As I mentioned, I get letters and calls all the time, emails from people about how our firefighters responded to a particular scene, how they were treated with great dignity and respect. So we're so blessed in this city to have an outstanding fire department, as well as a police department. Anyway, police officers there. Public safety units are the best in the call to Massachusetts. Jay Colbert from the International, Jay, appreciate you being here. I talked to Enzo Kelly last week. I know he had something else to attend to, but we appreciate the coordination and the collaboration with the International, as I mentioned, with the state, PFF, and as well as our local unions. So again, working together, great things can happen. So thank you so much, everybody involved in this, and may God bless this great country, and may God bless our firefighters.
Thank you. The mayor said it for me. Quincy Firefighters Local 792 President Tom Bowes is the reason that we are here today. We all agree with that. Tom brought the PFAS issue to light to our city. And like the mayor said, he was persistent, he was steadfast, he wouldn't take no for an answer. And I am proud of the work he did, and I'm proud to be part of the team that he truly created. So with that, I'd like President Tom Bowes to come up, take the podium.
Good morning. My name is Tom Bowes. I'm the president of the Quincy Firefighters Association, Local 792. Today is a monumental day for our local. This PFAS issue with Local 792 dates back to 2019. 2019 was the last major purchase of gear for the Quincy Fire Department, as we purchased 171 sets at the time. As anyone in the business knows, fire gear isn't purchased overnight. There was a lot that goes into it, and the 2019 purchase process started in 2018. At that time, there were reports from Notre Dame Professor Graham Peasley about issues with large amounts of PFAS in our bunker gear. So at the time, we asked the gear companies the tough questions at the table about PFAS in the gear, and we were told we had nothing to worry about. The gear companies were either PFAS-free, they said there might have been trace amounts from the production process, or we were told that the studies out there were bogus and the industry has studies saying the trace amounts weren't harmful to our health. Fast forward to a purchase we made of 30 sets in March of 2025. We purchased that gear that was advertised as PFAS-free, but we were hearing reports of large amounts of brominated flame retardants in one of the components in our gear. Jason Burns, PFFM District Vice President, and also the regional fire expert on the PFAS issue, reached out to me and suggested we send a set of gear to his friend Graham Peasley's company for a test to see what we were looking at. We sent the gear out to be tested for brominated flame retardants. There was no issues with PFAS, right? It's been sold as PFAS-free. Graham called us a few days later and said, "Do you want this tested for PFAS? It's showing levels of fluorine." We said it can't be. It's PFAS-free. It was sold like that. Sure enough, the testing results showed PFAS in the gear at unacceptable levels. This test was confirmed by testing at both Duke University and NC State University. Knowing we were lied to once and not knowing who could be trusted, we sent out some gear from the major purchase in 2019, including a set that was barely in service. The results were staggering. The test results showed PFAS levels in the hundreds of thousands of parts per million. For years, we have been lied to. And if we didn't now have the ability to test our gear, none of us would have known. Who would have thought that the same gear that we have purchased to protect us now sits in evidence bags, locked up in the evidence room at the police station for an upcoming lawsuit? Mind-blowing that companies would do that to America's first responders. We're very lucky in the city to have the leadership we have under Mayor Tom Cope. He has transformed this department and the city during his tenure. You don't see him angry too often, but when he heard the testing results, he was furious. He told us to find clean gear, and the city will find the funding to get us the gear and not have to be further exposed. We talked to Chief Smith, who has been great throughout this whole process, and he said, "Do what we have to do to get this right, and let's leave this job a better place." Thanks for all the efforts in helping to make this happen, Chief. My first call was to Ed Kelly, the IAFF General President, and to Jay Colbert, our IAFF District Vice President. Ed is the greatest union leader in this country, and Jay is right there with him. They always pick up the phone, and they weren't happy about what happened. They said, "Whatever we need to figure this out, they are a phone call away." While this was going on, we made a connection on the West Coast with San Francisco Battalion Chief Matt Alba. Chief Albert and the San Francisco Fire Department had been working for years to obtain non-PFAS gear, which they successfully did last year. We told our story and the deceit that was involved over the years, and he immediately reached out to the IFF Scientific Department and Derek Irwin. Derek called me and talked, and he said, "You ever hear of a company called Milliken? You should give them a shot." Oddly enough, we had already had a meeting scheduled with Brian Hodges from Milliken on September 16th of last year at our training facility. That was the day that changed everything in our fight for clean gear. Brian knew he was coming into the lion's den and had a bunch of firefighters pissed off at the industry, and we were going to ask some tough questions. He came and not only explained his products, but he talked about the company he worked for, Milliken, a family-owned company that has been around for over 150 years. He talked about the millions invested in 2023 to make their facilities PFAS-free, and he talked about how important ethics were at Milliken. He knew we wouldn't take his word at first after all we've been through, and so in the following months, he proved it. We were put in contact with John Sawyer from FireDex and Danielle Elliott from IPS, both people that also realized what we have been through and wanted to help us. FireDex makes the gear that features all of Milliken fibers, and the company Danielle works for IPS as the regional distributor. Danielle, thank you for everything you have done in this process. You've been a total rock star. To see the organization over the last couple of weeks as hundreds of Quincy firefighters are down there switching out their gear has been amazing. After sitting with John and Danielle, we had ordered some test sets for the field testing and had members wearing them over the winter months to see if it was something we'd be interested in. Brian also invited 4 union officers of Local 792 down to the Milliken facility in South Carolina. A big thanks to my fellow union officers, Rich, Paul, and Chris, who have been with me through this whole process, as well as my executive board. Funny story about that trip is as we were sitting in Logan, we realized we were flying into North Carolina, so we had a 4-hour drive to the facility in South Carolina. The Milliken tour was very impressive. The turnout gear process all starts with the materials. Every piece of turnout gear is built layer by layer. If you don't know what's in the materials, you can't have complete confidence in the finished product. We put eyes on it all down at Milliken. Clean facilities. We learned about the millions invested to go PFAS-free, including paying millions to dredge retention ponds they were using for water for their process. We were able to tour their dedicated lab just for fire gear, which was very impressive to see all the daily testing done, not just for PFAS, but for important things like durability, flexibility, and flashover protection. One of the other things we noticed was many employees we talked to at the 3 different facilities were longtime employees, another great sign of a good company. There was no BS sales pitches. They answered all of our questions with honesty. And before we left, they surprised us and told us some more good news. Milliken has signed with both Forever Analytical's ranked PC's company and NC State for biannual independent third-party testing of their materials. This is on top of the UL testing and the testing that's done at Milliken. Amazing steps by a company to make sure they got it right. The good part about the screw-up on our travel arrangements was the 4 union officers were able to have a good conversation on the way back to the airport. We were all very impressed with what we had seen. Then last month, we saw Milliken sign the IFF Code of Conduct for turnout gear and had General President Kelly at their headquarters and in their lab. At this point, we're reassured we made the right call with Milliken. The transparency of Milliken, FireDex, and IPS over these past 10 months has been amazing, something we haven't seen out of the industry in recent years. A team of people working together to solve a major problem and try and keep our firefighters safe. To show the commitment on Brian's end, he was at Lion's Den twice in this process, as he also had to come to a council hearing to answer some questions on the gear. Brian, this whole process just started with you last September, and we can't thank you enough. This has been a long road, and we're glad to be at this point. As you just heard from all the names involved, we had help from South Carolina, Indiana, California, Washington, D.C., Ohio, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire to make this happen. Too many firefighters across this country are dying every day of occupational cancer. My email goes off almost every day with another announcement from the IFF that a brother or sister has lost their fight to occupational cancer. Just this past May, we lost one of our brother firefighters, Neil Leonard, and next door in Braintree, we lost firefighter Paul Smith, the brother of our chief, both to occupational cancer. We have another brother in his fight of his life right now, and Johnny, if you're watching this, we're all praying for you. This effort is for all of these guys. Here in Massachusetts, thanks to the hard work of President McKinnon and the PFFM, PFAS is banned from being sold in fire gear starting in 2027. This should be the law of the land across the country after seeing the devastating effects PFAS has had in the fire service. I know I've mentioned a lot of people, but it really took an army to get this done. Moving forward, we will always trust but verify, meaning we will always test the gear now that the testing is readily available. When this gear came in last Tuesday, we immediately picked 4 random sets and sent it out to Indiana for testing. Big thanks to the Quincy Fire Cancer Foundation. I know John and Sean are here today for all they've done. They've paid for all the testing for the turnout gear. Mr. Mayor, Chief Smith, I'm happy to report I received a testing report on those 4 sets of gear yesterday afternoon. All pieces tested have tested for less than levels of detection of PFAS, meaning there is less than 5 parts per million in the gear, probably none at all. It's clean. We finally did it. In closing, I just want to thank the taxpayers of Quincy. We know this was an expensive purchase, but it had to be done for our health and safety. We know there was a big public push when needed to make this happen, and we can't thank you enough for your efforts. Whenever you need help, just pick up the phone and call. We are minutes away, and we'll be in our brand new non-PFAS gear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. You know, we're very fortunate in the city as a department to have the relationship we have with the International Association of Firefighters. Our district vice president, Jake Colbert, works tirelessly to advocate for all of the departments up here in the New England region. We're happy you could be here today, and I'm going to ask Jay to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Chief Smith. Occupational cancer is the #1 cause of line-of-duty deaths for firefighters across our international. 7 out of 10 firefighters who lose their lives to occupational cancer, 7 out of 10 firefighters who lose their lives every year die from occupational cancer, and the science proves it. The World Health Organization's International Agency of Research on Cancer has labeled firefighting a Class 1 carcinogen, harmful to humans. As firefighters, you see these gentlemen over here, when we raise our right hand to protect the citizens of whatever community we represent, we know the inherent dangers that come with that job and the level of exposures. What we can never accept is the unnecessary exposures that come with wrapping ourselves in turnout gear 15 to 20 times a day needlessly. When President Tom Bowes in Local 792 asked a simple question, what is in our PFAS-free gear, an independent investigation gave them a horrific answer. Unseen levels of PFAS or forever chemicals were found in the PFAS-free gear. That is non-negotiable with the International Association of Firefighters. The city, led by Mayor Tom Clayton, who I will unequivocally say is the best mayor for advocacy for firefighters in my 6 New England states, and I would argue the best mayor in this international for taking care of firefighters. The city replaced that gear. The first time in the history of this great international that a municipal leader took on gear, tested it, and then rejected it. The International has been proud for 108 years to be on the leading edge of the firefighter campaign. And this institution in Quincy, this is not unique. This is not a unique problem to Quincy. This problem is rampant across the country. What is unique is the response we've had. This is a global problem, and I'm pleased to be accompanied here today by Stephen Wright, the General Secretary of the Fire Brigade Union from the United Kingdom, who is basically the Ed Kelly across the pond. He came here today to be a part of this because they are going through the same problems over there. Protecting firefighter health cannot be solved with one problem. Protecting us from cancer cannot be solved with one problem. Getting rid of PFAS in our gear is a giant leap forward, But we need more. We need access to early cancer detection, which we are advocating for. I'm proud to say New Hampshire and Vermont, 2 of the 6 New England states, have already instituted that and are undergoing testing for every active and retired firefighter in those states. We need strong presumptive language. The 6 New England states lead the country in strong presumptive language, which would assume that when you get cancer, you got it on the job. All of these things have led to New England being the leader of the international on combating this scourge that is cancer in the fire service. The takeaway here is that when science proves that something is amiss and something is killing firefighters at an unprecedented rate, leaders got to lead and leaders got to act. And I'm proud to stand before you with President Bowes, Mayor Cope, the Quincy Firefighters, the administration, and all the city councilors from Quincy, that you guys are leading the way for 3,700 locals across the international U.S. and Canada, and now in front of the U.K. president. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay. So in conclusion, today is a great day, but it's a great day for all of us who are here. From our mayor, our department, our union leadership, our manufacturing partners, the international, our city council, our elected officials, and our community. We all did this together. This wasn't just the Quincy Fire Department. You know, they say it takes a village. This took a village. But we did what's right for our department. We did what's right for our community. And on behalf of the Quincy Fire Department, we will be forever grateful for all of you for the part that you took in making this come to fruition. So this concludes our press conference. All of us are available here if you have any questions to ask. Again, thank you and enjoy the day.